me, I'm actually would call it as a form of disorder. Okay, I believe all of us here, if we have people around us, we will definitely notice some of them also have this high blood pressure issue, or commonly known as also hypertension, right? So if we have people like that, or even our own family members or close friends or our loved ones that have these problems, then I think it's really worth for us to understand more tonight and learn together what is the introduction and also foundation about this high blood pressure. So we have a better understanding how to actually do the preventive, as well as for those who already have this condition, also know how to actually improve from the current condition, and what are the do and don'ts if let's say you are currently a high blood pressure patient, or if let's say you are suffering of the minor hypertension, or even if you're already at the ultra hypertension. Okay, so I think this is a very interesting topic because it will definitely be useful to us, even though if let's say we ourselves is not a person who suffer from this. I believe day to day you definitely will bump into someone who have this, and then with the knowledge that we learn together tonight, I hope it will also help us to share with them. Okay, so before I go further, let me share also some of the statistics and also data on the information about this high blood pressure. So let's start on the left hand side, which is the data and statistic from Malaysia. You can see, like I mentioned, definitely why just now I'm so confident that everyone will have someone who have the high blood pressure around them is because based on data. Okay, so on the left hand side, you can see 30.3%. This one is even last time already is 2015 data. Okay, 30.3, that means in 3 people, there will be 1 that actually have this high blood pressure. So you see the probability of getting high blood pressure is quite high in Malaysia due to a lot of reasons, which we will discuss later. Okay, so other thing that we want to also have a look is the data from the other country, including US or other Europe country. So on the right hand side, you can see the normal blood pressure that we supposed to have is 120 and 80. How to read this data also we will share in the subsequent slide. And also you can also see some important points that being mentioned here is that people who actually suffer with the high blood pressure, normally they have 5 years shorter life expectancy compared to the normal people who don't have high blood pressure. So it's also very important for us to know how to prevent and how to actually improve and get well from high blood pressure, so that we also can prolong and also extend our life expectancy. Okay, so stroke occur when the blood vessels to the brain is blocked or burst. Okay, so this is a common one of the common side impact that we know of. Of course, there is also a lot of other health adverse effect that will happen on that particular person, which also will be shared later. So even data not from Malaysia, you can see is quite synchronized across globally. I believe in global also it will be this statistic whereby 1 in 3 is also roughly about 30%. American adults with the high blood pressure don't know they have it. So actually it's quite high probability for people who actually suffer from it, but they don't know it. Okay, so we need to tonight, I think we will venture into 2 parts. First is actually how to do the preventive, and also secondly is how to do it, how to control and how to actually improve from current condition. Okay, so before we know more about the 2 things that I mentioned, we also need to understand what is the blood pressure. Okay, so from science perspective, we need this pressure in order for our heart to pump all the blood across our body. Okay, so imagine if today we eat something for the nutrition, right? We eat some food for the nutrition. So once the nutrition is being absorbed by the body, it will be distributed to all over our body through our blood circulation system. So a blood circulation system, the main generator for this system is basically our heart. So the heart is the one that actually put the pressure into this blood vessel and then send all the nutrition, and not only in nutrition, as well as oxygen, okay, to all over our body. At the same time, it also act as a role to actually bring back all the unnecessary thing. For example, if let's say the transition of the oxygen already happened, so it has been become the waste become carbon dioxide, it need to be bring out from the body. So this circulation not only deliver the necessary to all parts of the body, but at the same time, it also bring out all the waste and also the unnecessary byproducts from the body to output. Okay, so this pressure basically is quite important in other words. But whenever this pressure become overly high that is supposed to do, that is where we will have this high blood pressure issue. Okay, so to understand here, I think just now I have explained briefly what is the meaning of this blood pressure. In a more proper way, it explained here is that blood pressure is the pressure of blood pushing against the wall of our arteries. Okay, so we have all these blood vessels and also arteries in our body. So how do we measure our blood pressure is basically measuring how much pressure our blood is pushing against the wall of our vessel and also artery. So this artery carry blood from our heart to other parts of our body. The purpose I already shared just now. So secondly, our blood pressure will also fluctuate and change throughout the day, which is normal. So it will not be like a fixed number, but then it will be within that healthy, we're supposed to keep it within that healthy range, although it will fluctuate throughout the days. So what are the factors that will actually affect the fluctuation of the reading, all that? We can also study together later. So up to here, I hope we at least understand the importance of this blood pressure, but whenever it's excessive or when it's too low, is not good for our body, because when it's too low, we don't get the nutrients and also the oxygen on time. So normally the person will suffer from weakness, all that. But whenever it's too high, this is the problem that we will discuss tonight. Okay, so the first part of the topic tonight is actually how to prevent blood pressure. Of course, the best way is to have a healthy lifestyle, and then of course to take care of everything, including our diet, our workout, everything in order. Then we will hopefully we will not suffer from this high blood pressure. But still, even if today you are undergoing this healthy lifestyle, right, we still don't have an idea whether we have this high blood pressure or not, because high blood pressure and also hypertension, normally it happens or someone suffer from it without knowing it, because there's no very strong symptoms. So that's why compared to other diseases and also other disorder, it's harder for us to track. So based on the data just now also show 30% of the people normally they have it, but they don't know. Okay. So how is the first step is basically, if you ask me, the first step, definitely try our best to live a healthy lifestyle. But secondly, in terms of high blood pressure, we need to know how to measure it, how to monitor it through the reading. Okay, so we will be depending on the machine and also this meter that you saw on the right hand side. So this is basically what they call measure our blood pressure in a quick and also painless way. Okay, so you don't have to worry like certain people, if let's say they want to test their glucose level in their body, they need to pin their fingers or that, and then to get the blood. So unlike that, blood pressure is pretty straightforward. You need to strap your arms only, and then the machine will actually help to monitor. So second part in terms of the preventive is basically have this regular measure of your blood pressure, either at home or whenever, if let's say you have a chance to visit a medical center, or if let's say you have a chance to drop by the clinic, you can actually seek the doctor to help check your blood pressure. Okay, so the best is of course to do it at home, so you can have a daily routine monitoring and the self-measure blood pressure monitoring system. Okay, so this is particularly encouraged if let's say in your family history you have people who suffer from high blood pressure or hypertension. Is highly encouraged that you do the same. That means you monitor daily basis so that you can have an early detection that you have the hypertension. Okay, so how to know whether you have the early stage and also what is the reading, you will be in the subsequent slide. And then third point is basically to tell us that the point that I already mentioned just now, many people do not know they have it. So that is the reason why normally people that have this hypertension, they get to know after they suffer from stroke or they get heart attack or something very chronic. Then only after they went for treatment, they realize that, oh, they are the existing patient for high blood pressure. So we do not want that to happen, whereby something very bad already happened, only we realize we have that. So the best is actually to face it. Even though you live a very healthy lifestyle, don't take it for granted. We still do this checking, monitoring. If let's say we can do it regularly, that is the best. Okay, so just now mentioned about the reading and also the statistic, how to actually see whether we are at the normal range. So currently, the global and internationally recognized reading for the normal person, it should be at the range of 120, and then the diastolic is 80. So what is the difference between systolic and also diastolic? Okay, so normally if you use that meter to measure our blood pressure, right, it will come out one number at the top, which is larger. Normally it will show larger the size of the numbers, and then bottom there it will show another smaller size number, which is the diastolic. So the difference between these two reading is equally important, but normally the first one will already give a very good indicator whether we have the hypertension or the inclination to develop this hypertension issue. Okay, so systolic is basically when our, just now we know already the definition for blood pressure is the pressure that press against the wall of the artery. So systolic is the pressure of the blood pressing against the artery when our heart is pumping, okay, when our heart is compressed. So that means you imagine when our heart is compressed, right? Normally the pressure will be higher because when the heart compressed, it is meant to send all this blood to all over our body. So that is when it pump like this. That is when the meter will take the reading of the systolic. Okay, so when the heart back to relax mode, okay, before the next pump, you will back to the relax mode. That is the reading for systolic. So basically, these two reading are not supposed to overeat range, because regardless of whether your heart is pumping or when it's relaxed, it's supposed to have a normal range of reading. So you can see people who normally have the elevated blood pressure, the systolic, it will actually start to increase. Of course, the diastolic will be the same. But what are the issue? There are many reasons and many factors that will contribute to this. We also study together later. So when is the point of time when you will be considered as starting to have this stage 1 hypertension? Is whenever the reading is 130 and above, and for the diastolic is 80 to 89 range. Okay, so if let's say it develops higher, if you don't do anything, it continue to develop higher, you will go to stage 2. And if let's say it become crisis hypertension, then we need to seek medical attention soon. Okay, as soon as possible. Because if let's say anything higher than 180, you can imagine the pressure is very high. That means if let's say the pressure always remains consistently high like this, is very highly likely the risk of getting the blood vessel being burst, especially at our brain area or even at our other part of our body, which will contribute to leads to stroke attack. Okay, so it's very dangerous. Okay, so here also I just want to share, if let's say you are an active person, normally if you go for running, you go for morning walk, after that you measure, you saw it's quite high, and then you refer back the table that I shared just now, you suddenly thought that you already have the hypertension. Okay, so don't worry, we need to know that throughout the day, if let's say sometimes we have an extensive or intensive activities, it's normal for our this rate to be in the range of 160 or 220, this range. Okay, but this shall not be, this range will not prolong. It will be only after we done the workout or done the activities. So it lasts normally about 15 to 1 hour time. So if you check again, it still remain this high, that means you are really at the high blood pressure. But if let's say after these activities, you rest for a while, then you check again, you're back to normal, then that's fine. So reason of sharing this is actually to let all of us know our blood pressure can be regulated by our heart actually. So especially when you are running, you need more energy and more oxygen all over your body. You'll definitely pump even harder. So when it pump even harder, the blood pressure will shoot up to 160 and 220. So for athletes or people who undergo a serious training, they normally will monitor their blood pressure. They also monitor their heart rate, all that. So they will know that this is a common and also normal phenomenon. Okay, so before we go further, I just want to give this easy example for us to understand how our blood pressure in our body will be affected by what kind of factors. So if I will actually compare it to a pipe. So if let's say you have this kind of pipe in your garden or in your yard, you can actually, if I ask you what are the reasons that actually will cause the change of the water pressure, if you open up the hose and then you try to water your plants, all that, what are the reasons that will actually cause the water pressure to be changed? So here, I just want to share with you all. First, of course, is the elasticity of the pipe. So you'll notice that sometimes if let's say the pipe already hardened, or if let's say the pipe is brand new, very elastic, it will affect the water pressure that come out from the hose, right? So of course, from our observation, it's not obvious, but if let's say we measure it using a meter or using some gadget, definitely you will see there's a difference. This is the first thing that will actually affect it. And then second possible reason is also water pressure from the source itself. So just now I mentioned, if you open up the hose, the hose is actually from the main pipe. So if let's say there's a water disturbance or water ration at the main pipe, definitely the water pressure will become low also. Or if let's say there's a water pipe burst at the nearby, it will also lower down the water pressure. So the source of the water can also determine the pressure of the output. Okay, number 3 is the water passage along the pipe. Okay, so the water passage, you also determine, okay, if let's say this pipe you use very long time already, inside sometime it will grow the mold, right? So it grow more, or let's say got some sand or stone stuck inside, then it will also affect the output of the water. So this will because of change of the pressure along the way of the piping, it will also affect the output of the water. And then of course the pipe outlet valve. Okay, so when we say the pipe outlet valve, you can see certain hose is being designed at the outlet part. You can control the valve. So if you want to sprinkle, you just change the mode. Or if let's say you want to focus the laser focus spray, you can actually also change from the valve at the output area. So this will actually control, in a way, using pressure to control the output of the water. Okay, so when we look back to our body, it's very similar. The things that will actually affect our blood pressure is very similar. You just need to compare whatever points that I mentioned just now and relate back to our heart and also our blood vessel, and then we will understand why high blood pressure will develop and happen in the human body. Okay, so first of all is of course the active activities. This point I already explained just now. So if let's say today we are engaged in the intensive activities, right after running, right after a sprint, then you measure, definitely you will shoot up, okay, because your body react to these extreme activities. Second, this is a long term of not having enough regular physical activities. So if let's say a person who always don't have regular physical activities, the body, there are a few possibilities. First, your body might develop obesity. So obesity is one of the contributor to the high blood pressure issue. Second is because your body do not have these physical activities, then the circulation is become very slow. Okay, because actually workout and also physical activities helps to improve our blood circulation. That's why we always encourage people to exercise, to work out, not only to build muscle, all that, but another important reason is actually to improve the blood circulation in our body. because if let's say you don't have this kind of regular boosting of the circulation, it will be every day flowing at the normal speed. So there's no such stimulant to actually do this kind of circulation stimulation. So in the long run, it will also affect our high blood pressure, because it's easier for the blood vessel to build out some accumulation, to build up some cholesterol, all those. And third, not getting healthy diet and also health condition. So I think this is related to the point that I mentioned just now, the cholesterol, all the things that actually build out in our blood vessel. Of course, if you don't exercise, you will increase the speed of building those. But if let's say top up with your with our unhealthy diet, you always eat fried fruits, you eat a lot of oily thing, then you will give more opportunity to build out all these things that block out our blood vessel. So if we block out our blood vessel, similar to the point that I mentioned just now, the piping one. So if in between of the pipe there's a stone built out, or there's a mold being developed inside the pipe, it will affect the blood pressure of our body. So normally when the passage is become more narrow, the pressure will go up one. Okay, so that is same logic in our body. So people who do not have a healthy diet, firstly, they will develop problem that I mentioned just now, obesity. Secondly, diabetic. So these two, normally it comes in a combo. People normally will say people who have the high blood pressure, they should be, normally they are obese. Normally they also will have cholesterol or diabetic issue. Okay, but it's not necessary. It's not confirmed. But then most of the time, this is the case. Okay, number 4, alcohol and also smoking. So have to, if let's say we are a smoker or we drink a lot of alcohol, it will affect our blood pressure as well. Okay, and number 5, pregnancy. Pregnancy will also change the blood pressure in the mother body. Okay, so for example, if your body need to sustain another life, and then a more blood vessel being developed, definitely there will be a fluctuation in the blood pressure of the body as well. Okay, and then second last is actually the tension and also stress. Okay, so when we talk about tension and stress, is similar to the last point in the previous slide, whereby I said there's a valve that you can actually control the outlet of the water. You will affect the blood pressure. So in our body, basically, we don't have that valve that we can control, right? But without realize, or in the manner that we cannot control, for example, when we are stressed out or when we are tension, okay, our body will become stiff. So when your body becomes stiff, the blood pressure normally will be compressed and also become stiff as well. So that is actually also same thing. The end result is narrowing the arteries, and then the blood pressure will shoot up. Okay, so for people who normally are very stressed at work, or they need to handle a long-term project, chasing for deadlines, if they will firstly feel stiffness at that shoulder area, but in the long run, if let's say they go for the blood pressure checking, highly likely they will end up with the hypertension also, because you imagine in the long time you just control the valve to very small and always keep it at that small passage, so it will become very serious one day. And lastly, people sometimes also say it's because of the genetic, like maybe your grandfather or your father also got a hypertension, so you will eventually develop hypertension as well. So is that true? To me, that is partially true, but of course, based on study, also there's some explanation. Okay, so gene likely play some role in the high blood pressure or heart disease and other related condition. However, based on study, they also realize that there's a gray area between when we say that it's due to genetic, but actually at the same time, if we observe properly, it's also because of the history of the family, whereby they share the common environment of growing up. They share the common, a lot of common lifestyle. For example, their diet, the way they handle their daily activities. Is it they also engage with physical activities? If let's say a family don't have that culture, and most likely their future generation and their youngest one will also follow the same habits. Okay, and of course, other potential factors that increase their risk. Okay, so it's not a total no answer when we say that it's due to genetic, possible, but then at the same time, we can also improve the condition. We can reduce the criteria and also the contributing factor to make that person have the hyperpressure. So if we know already that the current common environment that they live in or the culture that they have in their family is not good, they have to change it. And definitely by changing that, you will improve it. Okay, so here we want to talk how to improve this hyperpressure. If let's say now you already start to develop, or even if you are at the preventive stage, all this is applicable. Okay, so on the right hand side, you can see a lot of suggestion. So including first, we need to eat balanced diet. So balanced diet is important so that we don't prone towards eating fried food, oily food all days. So if as long as we have this mindset of maintaining balanced diet, you have a very vibrance of meal plate. You have enough fiber, you have enough fruits and vegetables to offset with all these things. If let's say one on off or once in a while you take some unhealthy, then it's fine, because the balanced diet itself can help you to balance up the other bad part. Okay, so second is of course, I think, to reduce salt intake. This is also one of the challenge in Malaysia, because all the food that's so nice, they are being cooked with a lot of flavoring, and salt and sugar is the things that will not miss out in the cooking. So how to reduce the salt is basically try not to eat outside as often, because only when we eat in and also we meal prep ourselves, we can control the salt level. Okay, and number three, don't smoke. Okay, it will worsen your blood pressure condition, because smoking is actually putting in foreign body into your bloodstream directly. Okay, it's not only smoke in the air. Okay, because whatever you inhale into your lung, you will go into your bloodstream. So when there's more composition of foreign body inside our bloodstream, you will increase the thickness of the blood, and then of course the ending result is the same. You increase the blood pressure. So same thing, limit and avoid alcohol intake, which will not pose a good effect also. And try to be physically active. We don't have to go for extreme. You don't have to like suddenly go for do tabata or do very extreme activities and then after that you stop. So here is referring to a very consistent. If you can start small, maybe 1 week once, and then slowly 1 week twice, 30 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes times of workout and exercise is good enough to actually match this criteria of being physically active. Okay, and then followed by maintaining a healthy body composition. So actually here I emphasize on body composition instead of body weight, is because weight is the previous guideline. I think in the last time they always easy to refer to the body weight. If let's say you obese, you 60 kilo based on your body size is already obese. Okay, but nowadays we have more technology to give us more accurate reading. So I will actually advise or recommend to refer to the body composition instead of just body weight. So by having the proper reading on the body composition, you might be also a 80 kilo person, but if let's say majority of it is muscle, which give you a good support, that is actually a good thing. Okay, so you don't have to worry about blood pressure. But if let's say 80 kilo, but majority of it is body fat, then we have to worry, because it will definitely give burden to our liver, our kidney, and our heart eventually. And then all these things will not do good to our blood pressure. Okay, so why we so worry about blood pressure is because why people who have hypertension need to take medication. Why cannot just ignore it? Okay, because the implication and the side effect is very serious. Okay, so here I think this few already can give us that feel that the impact of the hyperpressure can be very serious. Of course, the most commonly that we know is stroke. Okay, so stroke normally the most usual one is strike at the small vessel in our blood. Only a small burst can already make us paralyzed or stroke. Okay, because our brain is not big also. So any explosion in the very small area will pose as a big impact to our body. All right. So other than that, if let's say the burst or the vessel is being burst at the vision area, our eyes area, also a lot of blood vessel. So it will also cause vision loss. Okay, and then of course, long term, you imagine long term, if your heart is the one that actually works in distributing all the blood to all our body, and they have to pump even harder whenever the blood pressure become high, is because your heart need to work harder to pump it. Why they need to work harder to pump it is because of the reason that we have discussed just now. Okay, so imagine a normal, a healthy heart that not necessarily have to work that hard. Definitely it can last longer. Same like our car, right? If let's say your car didn't maintain, and then at the same time you also didn't change your engine oil, the engine will become suffer and suffer, and then it will actually reduce its life expectancy. So same goes to our body. If let's say our heart is the one that we always take it for granted, high blood pressure already, or you just still continue to lead a not so healthy lifestyle, and then worse, you will come to heart failure, or you will have a heart attack. When all those accumulation happen at the heart area, the arteries being blocked, all that. So these are the two possibilities will happen to our heart. Okay, and then if we go lower down, it also at the kidney. So why it related to kidney? Because kidney is also very closely related to our blood circulation, as well as the fluids regulation in our body. So if let's say we have a very high pressure in our whole body system, long term, it will not be good to our kidney as well, because the kidney will also be as suffer as our heart, okay, to process all these fluid and also the blood that actually pass through that. Okay, so it will cause kidney disease or kidney failure. So it's all this is actually a very long-term impact, whereby you cannot like just solve it using a surgery, or you cannot solve it just taking medication. Okay, so unfortunately all these attack, and if let's say all this happen, most of the time we will be in this condition for a very long time. It's very difficult to recover. Okay, and then of course lastly, sexual dysfunction. So this is also things that will be affected if let's say our always have the high blood pressure. The high blood pressure itself already will affect the sexual function. But at the same time, if let's say you are a high blood pressure patient and you are taking medication, the medication itself further give more side effect to this dysfunction issue. Okay, so it's very serious. So of course, it's not limited to this, but I think this is already some of the important points that I can give awareness to all of us. And other small thing, like for example, sometimes you feel cramp or you feel numbness, all those is not being listed here, but those are also the side effect of high blood pressure. Okay, so just now we know already from the pipe analogy, we know that how our blood pressure will be affected in our body system. So we should actually tackle from there, from the few points that I mentioned just now, but in our body manner. So first of all, just now the pipe elasticity, we can actually take care of our blood vessel elasticity. Okay, how to take care of our blood vessel elasticity? Of course, firstly, we need to ensure our blood vessel have enough material to repair and also recover whenever it's being injured, or whenever there's an inflammation or ulcer happen in along our blood vessel. Can you imagine if that happened, your body have enough material to repair it or not? Okay, that's the first question. And then second, we can actually make sure the elasticity of this blood vessel by ensuring our body always replenish with sufficient vitamin C. Okay, so vitamin C is a very important component to ensure the elasticity of our blood vessel. That's the second point. And then third point is actually to reduce stiffness. So to reduce stiffness is there are many ways, but if let's say today we know that stress and also tension is one of the natural reaction that your body will stiff up, you will become numb, will become very tension at the shoulder area or even other parts of the body. Then we need to learn how to handle this stress and also tension. Learn how to put down things and learn how to actually plan our life. Okay, work is work and life is life. And then also learn how to actually handle stress. If let's say you have this psychology stress, all that, you can go for meditation, you can go for yoga, you can also improve your sleep quality, all that. So there are many ways that actually we can reduce this stiffness that already happened in our body. Okay, so our job is just not to prolong it. So in these 3 points, actually we can actually improve it through the help of supplementation as well. So the nutrition that actually helps the repair recovery of the tissue, definitely is our protein. Okay, none other than our protein. And then of course the elasticity I mentioned already, vitamin C, we have a natural bio C plus that we can actually intake to improve the elasticity of a blood vessel. And then of course garlic is one of the supplementation that actually improve the stiffness of our blood vessel. And because of that, these three, if let's say we combine together, it will actually help this first factor. And then second factor is other than the elasticity, we also will have sometimes a very poor diet or long-term eating your favorite food, but you didn't realize that that favorite food that can actually contribute to the develop of this accumulation of cholesterol or fat along the blood vessel, right? So eventually, if let's say there's a ulcer or inflammation or wound in the blood vessel, it will start to accumulate all this. First, it will accumulate our own body protein, like our white blood cell and also other protein will actually go to that particular area and surround the ulcer. And then after that, followed by, if let's say your bloodstream have a lot of all these fats, lipids, and also cholesterol, it will clog up the vessel. So first thing we already mentioned, we must have a balanced diet. So if let's say today you can't maintain or cannot sustain a balanced diet, we need to find a solution. Okay, and then secondly, we need to ensure high fruits and vegetable intakes for two reasons. First is the high antioxidant of it. Second is because of the phytonutrient and also fibers that we have in fruits and vegetables can help to regulate and also to offset some of the bad inputs in our diet. Okay, so number three, HDL source. We need to know how to find the HDL source. So HDL stands for the high density lipids, which is when you do the blood test for your cholesterol, it will show three readings, right? Your total cholesterol, your HDL reading, and also your LDL reading. So we need to learn how to build up more HDL, which is a good type of cholesterol in our body, because it will help to flush off whenever there's some clot like this try to be built out in our body. HDL is the one that can actually help us to flush and also remove those. And then we also need to find ways to intake fat emulsifier in our diet, right? So with this fat emulsifier, even before all these things go into our bloodstream, it can already be emulsified or being eradicated at the digestion, during the digestion process. Okay, and then fat burner. Okay, of course, if we can block and we can emulsify, that's the best, right? So if let's say we talk about nutrition, there are also some of the supplementation can actually help this. First, the lecithin E is a very good fat emulsifier that can help in terms of this. And then we have if we need a good HDL source, it will be definitely our salmon omega-3 complex. This is a very good fish oil that can actually help us to regulate the balance between LDL and also HDL, so that in total our cholesterol is in a good control. Okay, and then if let's say back to the balanced diet and also high fruits vegetable intakes, if we're not able to commit and also not able to sustain that kind of diet, but we know the importance of it, we can actually resort to supplementation. Okay, so we don't have to worry, because Nutrilite supplementation, they are using full natural fruits and vegetables to come up with this concentrated fruit and vegetable. Okay, so it's a very highly recommended, because at the same time it's a high antioxidant as well, which is good for our blood vessel maintenance. Okay, and then just now I mentioned how to reduce and get rid block the excessive fat in our intake. Okay, so we have this green tea plus that will help also, but not only during the diet. If you know about this product, the green tea plus will also help to firm up and also tackle one of the most challenging issue on our body, which is visceral fat. So if let's say our body build up visceral fat, you can definitely imagine our blood vessel will slowly, or our arteries will slowly develop like what the picture show here. So if let's say this green tea plus can help to improve our visceral fat condition, you will definitely improve this high blood pressure issue as well. Okay, so and then just now we shared about the source of the water, right? The source of water, if let's say from the main pipe itself is already weak, okay, not powerful, the flow, that means our heart will also need to work harder. Okay, so if let's say when our heart need to work harder and it don't have enough energy to do so, then it will actually start to have the issue in the previous like accumulation and all that, because the circulation is not healthy, right? So how to ensure our heart energy is at its optimum, so that we always have a healthy circulation? Whenever you work out, you will not feel that difficulty in the catching up the blood pressure, or that your heart is able to regulate the blood pressure very well. So first of all, we need to ensure our heart is being supplied with the sufficient energy, so that our heart can become the energy generator using its own ATP in their cell. ATP is the energy generator in the cell. Okay, and then second, energy converter is also very important. That means today, if we intake enough energy source for our body, for example, we intake carbs, we intake protein and fat, all this is energy, right? But then we need an energy converter, which is vitamin B complex, to convert all this energy, so that our organ and also our body can use the energy to do their work. But here we are talking about heart lah. So heart also need this converter, so that they can get the energy, okay, to do their work. Okay, of course, lastly is antioxidant. So how to actually help our heart is not other than our coenzyme Q10. So coenzyme Q10 is actually a natural enzyme that we have in our body. Our body can self-produce. Then your question is, why do we need to intake this supplementation? It has been explained on the right-hand side. So I purposely put this chart so that we all have understanding why, even though our body can produce already, but it's always not enough, and along with time, it will become less and less in our body. So you can see when it reached 40 years old, almost half of it already gone, okay, the production of this coenzyme Q10 in our body. So if let's say with the lower production of coenzyme Q10, that can actually help metabolism and also the cell energy in our body, especially organs like heart, kidney, and liver. These three organs is the one that need the most coenzyme Q10. Okay, so this is an example for heart. You drop almost half when you come to 40 years old, and especially when you come to elder age, it will continue drop and drop. Okay, so this is just generally. So by individual, certain people might drop even faster if let's say they don't practice healthy diet. If let's say they don't practice healthy lifestyle, probably it will drop even faster. Okay, so if let's say this happen, and can you imagine whenever your blood circulation already got the issue, and then your heart don't have enough energy to pump properly, then that will actually affect our blood pressure as well. Okay, and with that, I think I hope tonight I have give you a brief understanding on the high blood pressure, how actually we develop this high blood pressure issue, and is it that we have to long-term rely on medication? I cannot advise on this because I'm not a doctor or what, but through our understanding of how this being developed in our body, I think we have the answer to ourselves, whether we can actually improve it through the change of the lifestyle. That is actually the root cause of we at the first place having this high blood pressure issue. Okay, so of course, if you want to change the intake of your medication, all that, do check with your doctor. But if let's say in terms of your day-to-day habits and the supplementation nutrition that you can intake, I think just now I have shared with all of us, and I do hope that we can have that understanding, and we can share also with people around us, so that we can have less people suffer from this high blood pressure impact, where it's very, very tough, right? If you imagine you have someone who have stroke, or someone who encounter vision loss in your